Back from the break one last time. We're here to bring you the last Miramar of the night. My name is Kobo. I'm joined by Felix. We've had an absolute blast so far. I feel like we've had extremely explosive performances by a lot of these teams, topped by Pakistan there towards the end. And then we've had a few teams just consistently keeping up the pace, right? I feel like we've had a little bit of both. We've had the ups and downs of a Pakistan, for example. We've had Malaysia, who are somehow in second place, but always being consistently good. Indonesia, of course, is there to speak of as well, Felix. What do you think about the last game? Who you think is showing up? What do teams need to do?
There's the obvious answer and there's the less obvious answer. So the obvious answer is obviously Pakistan. I'm not sure what kind of switch they just pressed, but the last two games have been, to put in your words, explosive. To say the very least, more than explosive. They've set almost records. I'm not sure we've ever had in a qualification stage that was at least streamed here at the IESF qualifiers, where so many frags have been gathered by just one team, and an 18-team lobby especially. Yeah. An 18-team lobby, that makes it even harder. And I'm 100% sure there hasn't been a team that has gathered 20 kills in a circle as tough as this for Pakistan. So I'm excited to see them play. Also, I got to highlight Japan finally finding at least some kind of footing. I know it was kind of a scent towards the shack, but they made the best out of it, and I know everyone knows it at this point because I've literally predicted them in round one, but I hope we're going to continue seeing strong performances from them.
Yeah, I think fair play to them. They did a good job that game, but I think you've touched on something that's super interesting there. Is it wasn't an easy game in any part of the match for Pakistan, right? They had to fight their way in on each edge, and I said, well, they have one player in front of them here. They can try and go play that. They can go fight that, but it was never easy. It was never free, and they were able to do so much damage to the lobby. We'll see how that transitions into the last game. We'll see how that goes into match 6. Like I said, crunch time, right? Not a lot of matches left. We're almost halfway through this qualifier. It goes so fast. It goes so quick, and some of the teams will be sat wondering where the hell did all of these games go in just about half an hour. So one more chance today to set yourself up for the most important break in the tournament, the one-day break, where you can look at the leaderboard and say, well, these are our chances. This is what we have to do. And it's going to get easier the higher you are on that leaderboard, because the lower you are, it's going to be, the more you're going to be doubting yourself, and the more you're going to be hesitant coming into day 2.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think that one-day break is going to be incredibly important for some of these teams that are on the cusp of breaking into the top 3, because you'll be reminded, it is 12 games only. We have not a break of the qualification, but we have Group A tomorrow, and that means Group B has a pause of just one day, and after that it's just 6 more matches. And if these matches are over, top 3 are going to Riyadh in the later stages of this year. So chances are running out, ladies and gentlemen. For all the teams that want to catch up, you need big games like Pakistan has done, and even 2 games as big as Pakistan might not even be enough to get you into qualification stages, as we've seen from them. So do be paying attention to match number 6 here at the IESF Asian and Oceanic qualifiers.
Southern Plain, very, very far Southern Plain on this Miramar with 18 teams. It's going to be tricky for most of them to make it to a loot spot. We already see Sri Lanka and Taipei in Valademar. We see 2 teams in Chumasera as well. That is Bangladesh and Thailand. We see a lot of teams stretching out towards the northwest here. We see multiple teams in Los Leones. This is going to be tight. This is going to be packed. Quite a few hot drops coming up here. I already see a player knocked down flush just on the map. Thailand is starting off just where they left off. As always, in a hot drop, they're not hot dropping Picardo this time. They've just hot dropping Juma instead. That's what they like to do. That's how they like to approach these. And I think they've started the hot drop with just 2 kills going towards them instantly here.
Second hot drop, second time a hot drop that we haven't really expected, I would say. Chinese Taipei against Sri Lanka. First couple of shots are being thrown the way of Sri Lanka, but not a single knock so far. I want to say, just positioning-wise, Sri Lanka with a big advantage in the positions that they have, kind of surrounded Chinese Taipei a little bit. Then again, the cross towards Sadia is possible, so if these 3 players run over, that whole position is not as valuable as it looks of right now. Jumping over, Nick and Hack second out hot job. It is Bangladesh against Thailand. Another hot job that we haven't really seen before. What is happening? How do these teams suddenly just switch up on the hot jobs and find hot jobs again? That's what I'm so worried about.
And there's a shotgun coming out. There's a flush coming out. It's a little overzealous here from Sadia. He goes in a little too deep and gets instantly traded on out. He's really trying to commit for the flush, but it does cost his life here in the end. And yeah, I'm not sure where the hot drops are coming from, but it feels like Thailand's so good at these hot drops that they just want to keep approaching them this way, and they want to keep looking for them. They now finally lost a player. Now finally someone's been able to put a little bit of pressure back towards them. But so far, they've been mighty consistent and mighty proficient in the hot drops. Look at them. They're running him over now. The team play is there. There's a bit of util. There's a bit of dodging and weaving. Where's that nade? Finally coming in and out. It does a bit of damage, but they have to clean this up, and they have to be fast at it. How many casualties did they take here? Did they take just one? I think so.
Yeah.
That's almost worth it, but that's sort of at the cutoff, right? We've been talking about that before. Losing 1 for 4 kills is almost not worth it, I would say.
Really depends on what you do with it. Well, I think as of right now, I don't think it's worth it. If they continue playing strong in the remaining minutes of this round, then maybe, you know, you get a couple of more frags, you get a couple of more points, then maybe it's worth it. But not in the top 3. Actually, I'll take it all back. Yeah, it's pretty definitively not worth it.
That's the main point, is you're not competing for a top 8 out of 16 or something along the lines of that. Not even a top 5 out of 16. It's a top 3 out of 18. You really have to be far, far above average if you want to be qualifying here. So even a good trade, like a 4-1 trade, is not amazing. And you really have to be amazing if you want to be in the top 3 here after 12 games. So yeah, it shifts the limits a little bit. It shifts the valuations a little bit of what you should be happy with in this tournament.
It also makes it so incredibly hard for every other team that wants to break into the top 3 to realize, hey, we need this amount of points as kind of a guideline on what we should do each game. That's not really possible, because we know how top-heavy it is. There's probably going to be some teams with way more points than the top 3 than, for example, the top 4 even. I think the cutoff is going to be big, and especially the middle of the pack is going to be very big in comparison to the top 3 as well. So yeah, makes it really tough for any team to kind of just plan on how well they need to perform. So go with the flow is, I guess, what we're saying. That's also what Sri Lanka should do in this 3-on-4. We have all the 4 players of Chinese Taipei on the other side of the street, but no one's really crossing anything just yet.
Taking their time with this one. It's always tricky. It's always hard. You want to close out the hot drop fast so you can continue to keep playing the game from there, right? But it is so hard. And a 4v4 versus a team that knows what they're doing, any play you make, any risk you take, they might be watching you from a window like Clumsy is there, and you're instantly punished. It goes so fast. Different kills coming out for Japan in a far distant fight. But Sri Lanka is looking to try and pick some players off here. They're looking to try and catch Taipei on off angles. Effect is so far split. He was so far trying to get a wrap on them. He might be out of this fight, Felix.
Yeah. Yeah, it might be. I think at this point it's almost a certainty that he is out of this fight. Clumsy's already repositioning. Maybe he can do something from a distance. Yeah, I think they're positioning so that they're open to the play on the other side to effect. But historically, that's never really worked out perfectly. Not unless you have the man advantage. He gets headshot, and that's the big difference now. Clumsy's low HP as well. They have to make this fight count and have to make these shots count. But he's even peeking. Doesn't get anything just yet. I think it's both these players down now. So it's the only effect, and his position is known. Flushes are coming through. No chance at all for Sri Lanka, unfortunately. And Chinese Taipei will pick themselves up 2 more frags, potentially even the 4th one.
Not looking good for Sri Lanka here. They get a few knocks, but they don't get the kills, and they don't get the points. And look who's in the kill feed right now, Felix. Pakistan is stopping right where they left off. Already picking up 2. No retaliation so far, so they are staying clean with it. And they're staying aggressive. Picking up a few. Picking up a bit of space. Looking what's happening around them. That's a big knock coming towards them. Azagi has to be a little bit careful here. They pick him back up. I'm not even sure if they'll get there in time, Felix.
No, I don't think so either. Oh! Pakistan will lose a player then as a result of that. Don't think there's gonna be a chance. Cambodia, we're close to it. Always choosing to go for that western rotate in. We saw them having trouble with it in the last game. This time around it looks a little bit cleaner. But the zone in and of itself is a little bit further towards the east as well. Oh, no, in fact. Oh, that is so unfortunate, but I'd be lying if I would say that has never happened to me. That's just unfortunate. You are excused, in fact, but that's just not how you want to go out of this day.
He got a flush and 2 knocks. He had brought it down to a 1v1. And then that happens. Oh, that is so unfortunate. It was looking so good. He was making such a stand for himself, and then a little bit unfortunate bounce on the railing, I think. That was the railing along the stairs that really just brought him to his own demise there. But it happens to the best of us. Heartbreaking, though, when he was so close to clutching that out.
Not even sure what Malaysia's going to do here. Kind of looking to go for the similar entry as they have in the last round, but this time around, as we said, the circle is a bit further towards the east, so they're kind of just splitting this edge of the city of Lars. I'm not too fond of this spot, just solely because the circle doesn't really end there ever. Sure, you have good rotation, good rotations, and you will probably make it in to the next 3 phases. Yes, and you get a lot of good rotation pathings as well, but kill potential is always non-existent unless someone literally just drives into you through the road, which almost never happens. And then if you do need to leave the city, there is lots of risk involved with it. So we'll have to wait and see how that's going to work out. Brunei, on the other hand, also waiting for their big round. Always a team that likes to fight relatively early, and they have been pressured into Pakistan just last round too. Maybe it's going to happen this time around as well.
Brunei has been a team that's been good in team fights. Yes, they're up against Pakistan. Yes, we've been singing their songs for the last hour or so, but Brunei has been really good in team fights so far, and they're looking to try and maybe just find a sneaky opening, I feel like, here, newbies. He's trying to find one for free so they don't have to fight them later, as their position in the circle is massive here, right? Look at the top right, you see the map. Brunei is controlling some of the best spots in the circle, so they don't want to go for a fight here. They're just hoping to weaken the team next to them, potentially for free, which could make their game so much easier in the long run.
Yeah. That's, I think, the 10th hard shift in phase 3 that we've seen. At least it feels like it. Obviously, we only had 6 hard shifts, 6 phase 3 today, but it really does feel like it's been a hard shift every single time. And I'm going to have to look back at the VODs after today has ended and check it, because that's just so tough for plenty of these teams. Phase 3 is such an important shift.
Yeah.
Nothing you can really work around, but with 18 teams, sometimes it can make a difference. If 6 times in a row the circle does really shift hard against you. And the rest of the circles aren't really necessarily kind to you either. For one team, that's not really made a difference for Pakistan.
Yeah, it really hasn't. But who knows? Who knows? Maybe it has in the first 3 games. Maybe they just weren't able to start playing their own game until then. But yeah, in general, right? You have enough games, then you can really even out the randomness that circles can bring. But in 12 games where you have to get a top 3, there is certainly a factor that's a little bit influenced by luck. So far, I think the top teams have clearly shown that they're beyond that, and they're so much better than the rest of the lobby that they don't really get impacted all too much. But the teams in the mid-pack, just one convenient circle can really push them a long way and really get them going into the groove that they need to get right here.
Good shots against Japan coming in from Laos. Boy, he's been the most important fragger for Laos today. Unfortunately, they are one of the teams in the bottom half of the leaderboard did, relatively surely, do not have a chance at qualifying anymore. But that's not all they're playing for. They are playing to put some honor on their name. We see heated discussions in the chat as well. Which nation, which country has the better PUBG Mobile esports scene? And even though Laos isn't necessarily in the discussion, this could be the start of things. And Laos national team is, as we said, also not to be underestimated. Japan making their way to the city. We saw them get some shots off against Laos, but they haven't lost a single player yet, and that is what keeps them going. There's still a long road ahead of them, though. As we see now, Uto being the first one to arrive on the other side.
A lot of repositions around the city, a lot of trying to figure out what positions you need to be holding, what positions you want to be holding. Brunei also trying to slide on through there. Multiple teams already posing up. You can see Myanmar coming in from the road. Chaco is on the low ground. They're waiting for this. They're ready for this. They're putting out a bit of damage. They are not getting the knocks just yet. It's Piasao on the low ground, excuse me. They are trying to make this work here, Brunei. They're trying to get these kills, but they have to be a little careful about what's happening all around them, because there's a few more teams in the city, and it's not just Laos, it's not just Japan. There's a whole lot of players already inside Los Leones.
Yeah, I'm not surprised so many teams are opting to go for the city early right now. There's limited space towards the southern side available. Lots of teams have rotated in relatively early and have gained themselves a good position as a result of that. So that means less space for them to rotate around. Good shots coming in from Brunei against some of these teams rotating towards the eastern side. Vietnam, namely. Usually they are a team that finds themselves in better spots in Phase 3. I gotta say, I'm very surprised to see them on the edge here. They, at least in the first 3 games, they were more tending towards, if they have prey on something, they take it. I feel like maybe that's changed just a tiny bit. But maybe we haven't got the full picture. Maybe they've also run into some bumps on the road. Had to change your vehicle. Maybe you had to find someone on the way there. So far, we haven't really seen them in this match. Or possibilities on why they are stuck to the edge now in Phase 3. Next zone is coming up, and if I had to, if I were a gambling man, I'd say this is going to go south.
We'll see in just a few seconds. Indonesia versus Thailand on the south with Vietnam just about to knock on the door is certainly an area that we want to pay attention to. Is some of the most high-profile teams, some of the highest on the leaderboard teams meeting each other in that small corner of the zone. Especially if the zone goes away, might see some conflict around those parts, but we have 3 to 4 seconds until Phase 4 pops. Lots of teams still struggling on edges, but this one has gone northwest. This one's good for Chinese Taipei that we're watching right now. It's going to continue going towards them, and it's given them a chance to get inside here and actually take a fight fairly unfazed by where the zone will go.
Yeah. Maldives, also one of the teams that we have a lot of screen time from, but just not in the late game areas. They do take their fights pretty convincingly, just never cleanly. Same goes for round number 6 of today's games. Vietnam against Indonesia. This is an absolute top fight, ladies and gentlemen. Gozu goes down as one of the first players that's being knocked down. Pongbeat, I think with 2 actually, definitely one of the flushes as well. Vietnam is trying to stay alive, and this one, the players are falling left, right, and center. Shadow suddenly finds himself with Lamborghini as the last 2 players left alive.
This is an absolute mess on the southeastern side as expected, but look at Thailand as well. They're going into this, and they're going into this completely untouched, uncontested, nobody else on their side of this fight. Vietnam down to almost no HP between these 2 players. I think there was even a Malaysian third party in there at some point from range, and it's not looking good. Indonesia out again, 2 points only. Thailand has lost a member in this, and Vietnam is looking worse for wear as well. There's an absolute mess on the southeast. Like we said, if the circle goes away, these teams are going to explode on each other. Now Lamborghini has a nade primed with his name on it, half HP. Shotgun comes over the top. This is not pretty for either of these 2 teams, but they want to close this out quickly so they can move on and actually play the rest of the game here.
Oh, yes, they do. Gabby is already close to it, and he gets stuck as well. The other smoke at Eugene's hand. It's going to be enough. And I think Shadow, the last player left for Vietnam, has been spotted as well. They know he's in the smoke. He's going to get flushed out. No problem at all. 2-3L is there for the rescue for his teammate. And that is Thailand picking themselves up, I think, 4, maybe 5 frags just based off of this fight alone. Really good stuff. But most importantly, they are taking down 2 teams that are in straight opposition to them on the overall leaderboard.
Big fights, big points. They stay relatively clean in this. And they are going to continue playing the game from here. I'm not sure how far they'll get. I think we have Malaysia right above them on the top there, waiting to try and keep them out. But it's not always the easiest thing to do when you're on the uphill and you have a team pull up below you. That being said, 13 teams still alive in this circle. It's neatly packed. And we're looking for another shift that will have a massive impact here, Felix. Because wherever this goes, it's going to eliminate maybe 4 to 5 teams. And there's going to be a lot of conflict instantly breaking out after.
The zone is going to close in a second, and we'll have a better idea of who's got the biggest chances of winning this. Cambodia is still very much in it, and I'm still rooting for them. I can see them down towards the small power grid area, southern part of Los Leones. Around the water tanks, pretty good compound. Just have to be careful from up top, but as long as that's covered, you have exits into everything. You've even got exit into the city, so pretty strong stuff from them coming out. Myanmar, always a team good for the fights, has dedicated that whole team to the city. They are gambling on that city ending. If it does come in, they're going to be in a really good spot as well, but lots of teams around them.
Circle's coming on in. Circle's going towards the northeast. The circle's going to whatever team was spectating. It feels like the observers are just absolutely jinxing half of the lobby here. Southwest is going to get sticky. Southwest is going to get hard to maneuver through. And the northeast has a bit of breathing room. Brunei, maybe time to get that res if no nade comes in. It is pretty nadeable, that garage, though. There's a good chance. Shako instantly wants to take a little bit more ground. He's going far. He's going deep. They've got to be careful here, Brunei. They're really splitting themselves up quite a lot, considering they're so involved in a fight right now.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, but I also like the initiative from Shako to immediately reposition. So he knew that was a position that was free. Unfortunately, now that we've seen the kill feed, it didn't quite work out, but I still think these are the kind of situations where you know you're at a disadvantage, you know these guys are coming for you, then do take the initiative. Do take maybe a random approach to some degree as well, something that the enemies won't expect, and that's what Shako did. Didn't work out, and as a result of that, Brunei and the rest of them are being breached at the moment while we speak. 2 players already knocked down. I think it's just 1 player left alive.
Not looking good in that fight, and particularly civil on the rest of the map, honestly. Slow fights, not a whole lot exploding as much as I thought as it would be. It's really just Myanmar, Brunei, and Myanmar getting the better of them for now, but Smile is completely left to his own devices here. He's gone too far too soon, and he's instantly put down in the process as Brunei finally claws one back, finally puts a stop to the wreckage that Myanmar has been putting on them. Yes, out, pretty much knocked and flushed here. But now there's third parties coming in. Now Japan is getting interested on the minimap and looking to claim some of these space and some of these kill points.
Good shots. Oh, man, it gets set down from Naoto, who's been the key fragger for Japan so far. But all in all, none of these frags should really matter. None of these teams inside the city have any reason to really get too close to each other. Unless they have an isolated fight like Brunei had against Myanmar. Otherwise, they will wait for the next circle shift. Only 1 team on that southern hillside now. It is Malaysia. Has to make sure to grab all the vehicles they can, because at one point they will need to move north. And that means down from the hillside by the looks of it. At least the way the circle is shifted right now, it tends to be a city ending. I know I gambled on a southern ending, but I guess we're not going to get that. Meanwhile, it is Thailand eliminated. 6 frags. No placement point whatsoever for them.
Yeah.
As they're out in 12th place.
They got themselves the kills when they could, and then they couldn't find a way on into a very, very hard circle. Timor-Leste versus Cambodia on the south. Timor-Leste at least getting a few kill points, sort of showing a little bit of life now. It's William again, the one that's putting up big points for them. He's been the star of today for them, but again, they're sitting between multiple teams. They're going to have a very hard time moving. I'm loving where Pakistan is at right now. Only 3 kills. Usually they have about 15 at this stage of the game. But they are in a pretty solid position here in the town. Very central. Lots of sidelines. They're looking good for the rest of this match, Alex.
Yeah, they really are. They've got everything they need. Next circle kind of centralizes up. I'm not sure if that favors anyone just yet. Lots of teams have lots of space around the city edges. I want to say especially Ajay and his squad. They've got surprisingly a lot of space. Nepal, so Nepal on the western side is in a really, really good spot to hold out everyone from the south. I didn't even realize that before I saw the map and before you just talked about it. So
it's a little greedy though. It's a little much, especially on that southwestern side. We can see, right, that they have a lot of space towards the northwest that's completely uncontested. But I'm hoping that they're quick to react once they realize how many teams want to get in on their southwest. And you take a few kills, sure, but you can't take a 2 versus 4 versus 4 versus 3. That's not happening. And if they manage to get some third-party opportunities there, if they manage to take some kills that are relatively uncontested, that's awesome. But losing 2 members here would absolutely just break their back and ruin a game that could be a win. So you've got to be very careful in the fights they take.
They would have the big government building in the middle of it. if they were to rotate away from the south of it, and they could kind of rule that as a 4-man, which would be very strong.
Nice.
In the meanwhile, we have city fights engaging. Myanmar tries to cross the street. Marnet, who's been the most important fragger for Myanmar, I want to say, together with West Kerry, has found an entry, but he's going to get traded out immediately. Brunei gets, found in the smoke, but there's traders there immediately. Brunei bringing things back, and I think Shackle might be revived as well.
Nice little clutch raise for Brunei at this point, as they will consolidate back into 3 players up. Nice little UMP spray to break the door and kill the player behind it. Love to see that. And
yeah,
I think that's already a knock coming in towards Nepal, by the way. The pressure's already mounting, but they are shifting all the way towards this. They're not interested in playing the center, as you alluded to. They're not interested in playing the most central building. They're interested in clearing their edge, and I think that's respectable. It is the higher risk play, but it can have the bigger payoff. So we'll see how that points out for them.
Yeah. Who would have thought that Timor-Leste and Brunei in the midst of Game 6, where more than half of the teams eliminated are currently in the top spot, at least in terms of points being secured. Brunei with 4, Timor-Leste with 4, and Chinese Taipei also with 4. These are 3 teams in the second part of the leaderboard. Now, do I think they will win the game? Honestly, no. From the position they're playing off of, no. But it's a good sign that even the teams that have been struggling so far are coming back up.
It's what you tend to see when you give teams more games. You tend to see the slow starters get back into it a little bit, and you tend to see the crazy starts dwindle down a bit. It's just what more sample size does usually when the skill disparities aren't crazy. And I feel like everybody's shown some flashes of brilliance today. Maybe not everybody, but a lot of teams in this lobby. Malaysia right now, I think they're the consistency kings, and they're one of the least flashy teams in the lobby because they have just consistently put up good numbers without exploding like crazy. But again, not a crazy circle position for them, not a crazy amount of kills. But if they keep focusing towards the west here, I think they can get away with another 7 to 8 point game for sure.
Yeah, it could very well happen.
They want to send it though, I think. I think they want to go north here. I think they're smoking a path to try and go down the hillside already.
I feel like that would be too early.
I think so too.
I think they could easily wait for the circle shift to close, and at least third parties, some of these teams coming in from the western side. I don't think they realize how many people are there, which is understandable because they haven't fought up until now. But even if you do the move downwards, why not do it with the circle closing while everyone else has to fight? And that's the thing that I don't necessarily understand. We'll have to wait and see if it works out for them. Nepal with a good entry towards the southern side. Malaysia is starting things off strong as well. They've sent down the first one. They want to use the remaining time on phase 7 to get the frags against Pakistan, the one team that's been absolutely on fire for now. But I don't think they made it down all the way.
Yeah, they got the worst of both worlds now. They didn't take the kills on the top, and they also weren't fast enough to make it down to the 5 stack before Pakistan was able to take it. So Pakistan shifting away from their original positions, more towards the southern edge here, has really caught off Malaysia and has really slowed their approach. The res has come through for Pakistan, and the res is absolutely impossible for Malaysia. So a very good trade for the high fragging team. And almost everyone's now made their way on in. Cambodia is still creeping around the bottom of these rocks. Malaysia's still hiding out on the top of them. But the longer this goes, Felix, the more impossible it's going to get for them to make it any way down the mountain.
Yeah, honestly, I don't necessarily understand it completely. So I think they will look back at this game as well and yeah, maybe realize, hey, we should have waited a couple of more seconds, and if we do, maybe take a different rotation path. But it's a tough cross either way. Like at some point, you need to get away from the rocks, whether it be this phase or whether you actually try to third party towards the western side a little bit more. So at some point, you need to move, and then it's going to be everyone looking at you. So Pakistan, especially Pakistan, it's just not going to let that happen. Kenido finds one against Nuatu. I'm not sure where that is happening because that must be the other side of the city, but at least something being secured for now.
Fewer and fewer buildings are in. Brunei, they've kept 3 up for now. Japan, they've stayed mighty quiet in this one, Felix. They've not really been involved all too much. And they're now gonna have to start activating the later and later this gets. I'm feeling very Pakistan right now, but I might just be biased. I might just be biased after what they pulled off earlier. But
yeah, no,
it's looking good. It's a good spot they're in. Everybody else is fighting each other.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think if we pick any team for to win this game, I think it has to be Pakistan. Everyone else has to fight their way in as well. Look at all these buildings on the northern side, north of Pakistan. Yes, they're good buildings in and of itself, but if you need to move even a meter outside of it, and at the moment it looks like everyone does, at least in the next phase, because it ends literally in Pakistan, then they will all have to fight each other before fighting Pakistan, and that's the big thing.
Yeah.
That's the big thing. The only thing that really works in your favor is if Pakistan has to focus on Malaysia and Japan a little bit more than on everyone else. But even that can be fixed, because Pakistan has already grouped up 3 men inside a building. Yeah. And we'll see the rest of the fights happening, and Nippon and Taipei are getting cleared out. At least Chinese Taipei is, with Nepal picking up 4 more frags. I think 4, maybe 3. But yeah, I think Pakistan is such a good spot.
Absolutely. All the teams around them should be engaging each other first. Now Brunei just barely clinging to life there. Shako last one up. He's getting pushed by multiple teams. Japan, like we said, they want to activate, and they are activating, and they're third party in this, and they're just finding gift after gift after gift. That's one down. There's another team eliminated. They're sweeping around their sectors. They're clearing their side. The circle has gone hard north. But I'm still okay here for Pakistan, I think, because not only are they 4-man strong in that building, Cambodia and Malaysia are not going to be able to just move past each other. They're going to have to hurt each other in the process of crossing that road. And then on the northern side, we should see a little bit of Nepal versus Japan. Nepal, though, don't count them out just yet. They've been one of the strongest fighting teams, remember. And they are strong in this lobby as well.
I love the graphic up top. That's Malaysia eliminated there. We're in second place before this game. Or, there might have even been a live counter, so they might even be in second place as of right now. But it might just not be enough against Indonesia, despite Indonesia not having a good game for the second time in a row. Let's take a look back. Nepal still with 3 players left alive. Haidami has been a key player for them during the qualifier stages so far. Has been knocked down, but he's in safe hands, so he will be revived. And the little bit of an upset team, Japan, who's had a good game, who I expected to have a good tournament in general, still alive as well. That nade goes far, but it hits it anyways. Matun, who's been such a key player too, with 1 nade, maybe a second one. Oh my lord! It might be the complete wipe against Nepal, which is a couple of nades being thrown.
Oh, it's beautiful. Just 1 player surviving in that open garage. It's just 1 to hold on for Nepal. He gets 1, though. He gets a bit of damage out. He's making this...
Almost.
He's making this costly for Japan. He's making them pay for it. And that's going to put them down to just 1 member. The first hit will come through, but he's going to have a terribly hard time to make it into the zone at all. Pakistan now on the roof. They've got control, and they are cleaning this up. They're closing out the day with a win, Felix.
What a storyline, coming in with 20 eliminations in the 5th map and then winning it, and on the back of that, what a performance coming in from Pakistan. They deservingly so will have a good chance of being a very top spot on the overall leaderboard after today's first 6 matches. Massive congrats, and look, I'm so happy because the PUBG Mobile gods have spoken. You have a good game where you have to fight your way through all of these matches and you actually win all of it, then you know what? We're going to reward you with a good zone. And this time around, Pakistan, it's been way easier. They could literally just wait in the building for the last 3-4 phases and wait for everyone to converge on them. And no mistakes being made whatsoever. And once again, I think that's fair. That's fair just based off of what they had to accomplish in the previous game.
You got to give them some credit, too. They made a big switch out of very central buildings in Los Leones to that southern edge and made a big rotation there that secured them the win. Because otherwise, they would have been in the buildings that Nepal was in there at the end, and you realize that was not a good approach to the zone at all. So,
yeah,
really big moves coming out of Pakistan to secure that win. 12 kills to boot. Gonna once again bombard them up the standings even more. I think we have highlights ready for you guys, and we'll walk you through everything that happened this game.
Let's take a look at some of these highlights. This time around, it's not Japan fighting early. Don't be confused with the round before that. Luckily, it hasn't been Japan, because otherwise they wouldn't have had that massive round in the end and these beautiful nades that we've seen. No, Sri Lanka, unfortunately, we're going to see the last nade again. Almost clutching things out. I want to say, yes, it doesn't look good for effect, but he almost clutched things out. And then we had that big fight with Indonesia, Vietnam, and Thailand coming in on the back of all that, grabbing the frags that were left over.
Big teams fighting on the southeast. lots of teams getting stuck inside Los Leones, and then Pakistan cleaning up from the top. These nades absolutely demolishing Nepal there, making that match a very fast end for Pakistan. But yeah, I don't even blame any of these teams dying in that southeastern fight we just saw. They just took some kills where they could, and there was just one team too many. But Pakistan rings through once again. 7 kills, 1,400 damage, and 0 damage received.
Unbelievable.
Felix. 0. The man's not been touched.
I legitimately cannot believe it. That is the most absurd statistic I have ever seen. That not even a single damage, not even a nade touched him, not a single shot, and he was dealing damage constantly. You don't get 1,400 damage by just sitting in a window and I don't know, shooting at rotations. No, you actually had to peek people, and he won every single aim fight he had without getting damaged. That's the most absurd statistic I've ever seen. Give it up for IQ in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. If you're a Pakistani fan, make sure to support him at his socials, and yeah, you guys can be proud of him representing your nation, because that is completely crazy. Pakistan in top performance throughout these last 3 matches.
Crazy stuff from them. Crazy stuff from him, especially. Wow, that's pretty mental. But again, I wouldn't count out their decision making here. They put themselves in the best position multiple times in that match, and that's what really got them the win. We have another few stats, and once again, they show that there was one dominant team in this match. And I think chat is already tired of us fanboying Pakistan, but the second half,
I guess
it was 3 games Indonesia, and then it was 3 games Pakistan. I think that's pretty much the story of today. I don't have any other way to put it.
Yeah, no, that's completely true. Second time around, we have 4 out of 5 players from Pakistan being in the top 5 in all of these categories, and it's not surprising. Let's take a look at some of these match standings. That's where it's really coming down to. 22 points for Pakistan, 15 for Japan. These are some so desperately needed points. Off of the double-digit game they just had, they are staying in reach somewhat, at least. We'll have to take a look at the overall standings, but that is what Japan needed after the first initial really bad games they've had. Cambodia as well, second time around, they're at least getting middle single-digit games going. Not gonna be enough. Then we need maybe like 2, maybe 3, maybe 4 dinners tomorrow for them to bring it back. But then again, it's an experienced roster. It's possible.
It's possible. Showing signs of life is what matters here. They are putting at least a few points on the board. They're making things more possible, as we have some teams really falling short towards the end here. I think Indonesia is the big name. They fell off terribly. Bhutan fell off quite a bit as well. So some of these teams falling a bit short towards the end, and Japan mounting a pretty solid comeback. I'm interested to see where they end up after this, but I feel like they should be in the top half now. I feel like they've done that work, but once again, IQ, crazy.
Surprise. Not a surprise for anyone. I was just being sarcastic. 7 eliminations, IQ. I want to say the man of the day in general, from what we've seen, but I think that would be kind of unfair to Indonesia. I think Indonesia's performance has now been a little bit... It's not in recent memory as much anymore. I think that's why we're not thinking of it as being that crazy stuff they pulled off.
Yeah.
But honestly, it was 3 times second place, 3 times deservingly second place, and not so easy rounds as well. At least ties it with Pakistan's performance today. But Pakistan, in terms of fragging power, was just not touched.
Yeah.
Not touched, not even by Japan in match number 6.
We shouldn't forget about Apollo, to be fair. He pulled off big numbers for Japan. He got 5 eliminations. He was a big part of that nade barrage at the end, but he already had 4 eliminations before all of that happened. And then I think he was left to his own devices to really try and do anything. Impossible for them to win that game, but a big performance from him and a big part in the step up that Japan was able to pull off. So shout out to him. Good bunch of damage dealt as well.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at the head-to-head statistics. 12 eliminations against 9, 10 assists against 4, and 2.5k damage against 2,100. I'm super surprised to see Japan on that much damage, and I think it's going to do them very well for the next remaining games. Unfortunately, it's always good if you have a good performance, but if it's on the very last match, or even the second to last match of a day of a best of 6, that's... It's kind of unfair, because you're just getting into the spirit of having good rounds, and then it's over. You have a day break. So I kind of feel bad for Japan at this point. If that would have happened at the beginning of the day, if we would have had that last Miramar match as the first game, I think they would have significantly more points.
For sure. That's what we talked about before the Sanok started, right? We were like, this might be the mood-setting game. This might be the first challenge to the mental, and it went terribly for Japan, and so did the first half of the day. We have the final standings for you guys. We know you guys have been waiting for them. We've been waiting for them as well. We have the leaderboard, and it's Pakistan in first. 5 points ahead of second. After a terrible start to the day, they have done incredible things in the last 3, Felix.
Unbelievable. 51 elimination points. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Pakistan. Malaysia, 63 points as well. Nepal and Indonesia with 61 each. And then there's the big cutoff that we've been talking about. Goes down from 43 to 29 points. Even a Bangladesh who was always on the brink of the big breakthrough game. So often we've seen them in the middle of the game having 3, 4 frags, but always losing a single player and then just not making it into the very late stages. I think there was not even a single top 3 placement for Bangladesh, even though they have such a talented roster. And I want to see Bangladesh bring it tomorrow. Bhutan as well, Myanmar, Japan actually moving up to 7th place also, massive. But I want to talk about this distance again. It's 18 points difference from 5th to 4th with only 6 matches left to go. Yeah, that is a lot. That is a lot. So I'm not surprised to see all these top teams perform as well as they do.
We're basically looking at 4 teams that are competing for the top 3 spots right now. And then everybody else is in a different class altogether, right? Everybody else is just trying to close the gap. Thailand, Vietnam, Japan, Bhutan, Myanmar. They're all trying to close the gap, and it's still entirely possible. But they need a little bit of a slip-up. They need Indonesia to continue playing like they did on the second half of the day, and then they still need a second team to also slip it up. So it's really, really hard for anybody after 5th place to close that gap. But we've seen what teams can do. And I'm not putting it past anyone. Yep. Pakistan looking absolutely stunning right now. And we will have to wait and see who pulls up like that tomorrow. If they can stay in form, or not tomorrow, the day after. If they can stay in form, nobody's going to beat them. But 2 of the top teams would have to fumble for bottom teams to close the gap, and now we're looking at the teams who really have a whole lot of work ahead of them. I don't want to say it's impossible. 40 points is possible, but it's extremely hard.
Yeah, as you said, it's going to be almost impossible. I think. What do you need realistically from 26 points? Let's just take Brunei as an example, or even Cambodia, 16 points to get to 61. That's not even one good game. That's not even one dinner. To be close. It's 2 dinners at the very minimum, and none of the top teams are able to score in the meanwhile. Now, if that happens, let's just theorize. You tie 2 dinners, none of the top teams score. You are tied, and you still have 4 matches left to go. What are the chances that you have 2 dinners and the remaining 4 games are just as good?
You need almost a 100-point day.
To
catch that up. The top right now is 70 points in 6 games. You want to get to probably 120 in 12 games. Maybe 100, maybe 110. But you need a big day, and well, we'll have to wait and see what they can pull up tomorrow. I'm not putting it past them. I think Brunei has looked really good in a lot of their team fights, but these bottom teams have just not been consistently playing good rounds together, and we'll have to see what they do the day after tomorrow. We have a bit of a break though, in the sense that we're switching back to the different lobby. We're switching back to Group A tomorrow, Felix.
Absolutely, we will have 6 more matches coming up tomorrow. That is the schedule for the remaining group days for Group A. And that's the switch that you've been talking about. So Group B is having a pause tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, I know it's 10 teams, I want to say only, that we've seen yesterday. But it was just as exciting. Maybe a tiny bit less exciting, but almost as exciting. We've had some amazing teams, and we have the reigning PUBG Mobile Global Champions. If that isn't a cue enough to tune in tomorrow for the remaining 6 games of group number A and to see who's taking the spots, then I don't know what is. So make sure to tune in tomorrow, starting from 2 p.m. CET to until round about 6 p.m. I want to say. We'll see how the day goes. But one thing is for certain: we're gonna get 2 teams, 2 countries, 2 nations tomorrow that will make their way towards the WEC, the World Esports Championship from IESF in November.
First 2 tickets are gonna get punched tomorrow, and that's gonna be exciting stuff. So don't miss that. I think today's been awesome. Today's been exciting. Tomorrow is it's gonna finalize whoever makes it out of Group A. So that's gonna be spicy stuff. It's been a pleasure for us bringing these games to you guys. I know you guys have enjoyed. I don't even I'm not even thinking. I know I've seen the chats and
the spam
everybody
is
tuning on in.
Yeah.
I know you guys have enjoyed the games. We have enjoyed the games. And yeah, I think we'll see you guys tomorrow.